Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's Member Spotlight. I'm Susie Daphnis. I'm the CEO at HerBusiness, and I have the great pleasure today of interviewing one of our members. We're going to be talking copywriting, and as business owners, things have changed. We're writing copy for social media. We have blog posts. We're writing emails. We're tweaking our websites. So our ability to put copy together is more important than ever before. Luckily, there are experts that we can rely on in addition to honing our own copywriting skills. So we're going to be talking about that. But the other thing that happens in our member spotlights is that you get to get behind the scenes of a business where a woman is growing and scaling her business. She may be a solopreneur who's just trying to build a more sustainable version of that business, or it's a solopreneur who's really finding her niche and who her market is, or it could be a solopreneur who's now ready to start building a team. And so her challenges and frustrations are in regards to that. So I do a little bit of business coaching. You get an insight on an incredible business, but also our members come from all sorts of industries and they bring their expertise to these interviews. So you're going to be getting some copywriting tips as well. I can see there's a bunch of you joining. So if you have questions along the way, just go ahead and put them in chat and I will have a look at those and present them. Either there'll be a question for me or there'll be a question for my guest and we can get some answers. But of course, if you're just enjoying the interview as well, go ahead and let us know by adding some comments to chat as well. Here we go. My guest today is Zoe Heard. She's a member of our amazing HerBusiness network. She's a copywriter. She specializes in working with service-based businesses and increasingly more e-commerce businesses to help them really write copy that sells. So I'm going to have her talk to you a little more about her business as I bring her on. Zoe, hi and welcome.
Hi, Susie. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. It's been a few weeks since we've done a member spotlight. We had a number of different promotions and then Mondays were public holidays, etc. So I'm very happy to have you here and to showcase your business, but also to have you share your expertise. Now, I kind of introduced you, but why don't you go ahead and tell us in your own words who you are, what you do, who you serve?
Sure. My name is Zoe Heard from Get Heard, and I'm a copywriter. And my business is focusing at the moment on service-based business owners who are growing a thriving business. In many cases, the service-based business owners are doing all of the things in their business. They're probably a sole trader, or they might have a small team like a VA helping them, but they're doing all the things. They're running their business in whatever their specialty is, and they're writing their own copy, and they're managing their accounts, and they're booking their appointments, and they're running their social media. They're doing everything. Probably also running a family and a household and all of that on the side. So, well, not on the side, that's important too, but in behind their business, which can be a distraction. So I take the writing phase off their plate and really nail that for them so that their messaging in their website and their email marketing is going to make the most sales possible.
Love it. And I love that you, because we have a lot of copywriters in our community, there's a lot of copywriters in the world, but what you're hearing here with Zoe is she's found her niche and her specialty, and she's getting even at the pointier end of that, knowing who she really serves. That allows her to run her business without trying to be everything for everyone, but really being the right person for her ideal client. Now, let's talk about your ideal client. So how would you describe your ideal client?
So I suppose most of the people I'm working with at the moment are service-based, like marketing coaches. I'm working with a confidence coach who coaches women in confidence and imposter syndrome. I'm also writing for so actually some other service-based businesses I'm writing for is some surgeons. I wrote a website for some surgeons recently, 2 groups of surgeons. So while I'm not officially a medical specialist, they wanted to bring out the specialty of what they do and what makes them different from other surgeons. So really it's not so much, while I do have a specific client that I described before with the busy business owner service business, it's the surgeons even fit into that. They're not women, but in this group, in this particular case, but they are busy running their businesses and copy is not their specialty. So I think businesses can get so far writing their own copy up to a point, and then they seem to hit a point where unless they've got marketing expertise and writing expertise as well, they just can't kind of get to the next level in their business.
Mm. Yes. And some of us will go and do a copywriting course, and I think that is all great, but there is a time, and I know for me too, and I can write okay, and I write a lot of our emails and things, but when you're wanting to create a nurture sequence, or you're building a new website, or you are launching a membership, getting some support to do those things, or whether it's really getting your messaging right, I think that doing work with someone for whom words come very, very easily, like mine are not coming very easily this morning. I'm stumbling over every second sentence.
Don't feel it. But I think one of the things about that is understanding the strategy behind it. And even if you can write a single email or, pretty good sales page yourself, it's about knowing how to take your ideal client on a journey through your marketing. So it's about knowing how they came to know about your business, where they're at in the level of understanding of what you do and who you do it for and how you can help them. And then how many emails have they seen? And then you drive them to the sales page, and the sales page has a goal. Maybe they buy today, maybe they don't. If they don't, then you drive them through more email marketing and so on to nurture them and make them understand your business until they get to the point where they're ready to buy from you, which might be now or it might be in 6 months. So
we just had it.
Business get stuck is that they don't understand the strategy behind it.
Right. And Celine is saying you're so right about businesses writing their own copy. Yeah. And it is a strategy. It's not just words on a page or words, tapped out on a keyboard. Now, you mentioned kind of the problems that people were having when they typically come looking for a service like yours. And you said that it's because they're trying to do everything in their business, which as small business owners, especially solopreneurs, we tend to be, we're writing this, we're tinkering with our website, we're answering customer calls, we're doing things. How else would you describe the problem that you solve with the services you provide?
I think a lot of people have trouble describing where their value is. And it's about really bringing that out. So in a consultation, we generally start off with a brief of what the project is going to be, whether that's something small and quick, like writing a connection statement, or it's longer and more involved, like an entire website or an email funnel. We start with the briefing, and I know some copywriters like to get people to fill out the brief in writing first. And I prefer to do it on the phone because for a few reasons. One of the reasons is that a business owner has asked for copywriting help because they have trouble putting in writing. So when we ask them to write the brief, sometimes we don't get
confronting.
Yeah. So I end up having to do it on the phone anyway. So we do have a discussion about what we're creating and things like that beforehand, but I like to just chat. And I think when I get to see people, if possible, we do it on Zoom rather than the phone, because we can really engage and have a chat. And when their face lights up, when they start talking about what they do, that's not usually in the first few minutes of the call. Sometimes they need to relax and forget that they're giving a brief to a writer and we're just having a chat. And when I start to ask them about what it is that they do, all this great stuff comes out that we then end up using in the copy. And that's when we really get to bring out their value, because we talk about their process and we talk about why they love what they do and why they love helping the people that they help. And their face lights up, and that's when we get the best words to bring out their personality and their value into the website copy or the emails.
Love it. And what we're hearing part of Zoe's process as well. And we all have our workflows and our processes for how we serve our customers, and it's good to have an insight into yours. Charmaine's saying, that's me doing everything, trying to change. Yeah. We can only do everything for so long, but if we truly want to grow and scale, then there's some things we need to change. Now, Zoe's brought some of her copywriting finesse and expertise. She's going to be sharing some tips with you, and we're going to be diving a little further into that later. But for now, I wanted to talk to you about your business, and as a woman growing and scaling a business, tell us a little bit about your biggest challenges or frustrations that you're experiencing, because I want to see if I can help you and in turn also help some of those who are watching.
Yep. So one of the things that I've been going through this year, after being on maternity leave for most of last year for my second baby,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Coming back to work after maternity leave and wanting to change how I'm growing my business. So I've had my business for 4 years, and I don't, how do I say this? I'm still working on what my exact niche is. So every year I'm narrowing it down that down further. I started off as a generalist copywriter, as I think a lot of new copywriters do. I'll do any kind of writing, and as an example, I did brochures and websites and email marketing and just a big bunch of everything in the beginning, and I'm gradually narrowing down who I work with. So I'm about to launch a niche into e-commerce, email marketing. I probably will stick with service-based providers as well, because they often sell online products and a productized service. So courses and things like that would count in e-commerce in the kind of writing that I'm going to do.
Okay, that's interesting. You're counting that as e-commerce. But if I think a traditional e-commerce business, part of, what works about e-commerce is the copy on their website, the descriptions of their products and services. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about once they, that little pop-up comes up and it says $25 off your first purchase, or, get your updates, then the email sequences that they then send to turn people into buyers, that's kind of the email marketing?
Yes.
Great.
Yes. But it also,
that's great.
I consider at the moment e-commerce to be part of the I could sell something without ever talking to someone. So they would come through Instagram and land on the website, see a mini course, maybe the person is a marketing coach or something like that, see a mini course that's $70 or something, and they could buy it through that whole process without ever having to speak to the marketing coach. And it's an offer for their big coaching program or their one-on-ones.
Great. So these funnels, and so inside the HerBusiness community, we talk about funnels. We talk about funnels, and so this would be an automated funnel. So I come to your website, I buy the mini course, that sort of gets me ready to and I might click on something, I buy, don't buy. There's a series of emails that are ultimately designed to get me to buy the thing. That is what Zoe's working on. That's very, very powerful, because when you can get someone into your world and the messaging matches to what their pain point is, then you can upsell, backsell, continue to have them create sales inside your business and become advocates and referrers for you. That's great. I like that. And then you're saying that for the service-based business, it's a similar thing. It's like, what is that the marketing funnel that you can serve with the email marketing specifically? I love that. I love that as a niche. The other thing I was going to say about that was that it's on the email side, right? Not the website copy, etc., that you're looking to specialize.
Yes. Although the website copy is important, because often there's a landing page specifically for that product.
Thing.
And they need to match, because otherwise it's not going to work.
Great. That's something very important that Zoe just said. When we get people to somewhere, our website or ultimately a landing page, the messaging needs to match. They need to know this is part of the same conversation and that it makes sense. But I wanted to talk about your business. I wanted to talk about the challenge or frustration that you're experiencing. So you've found in your niche, you're getting clear on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I'm going through this transition to narrow down what I'm doing, I'm going through a period of massive upskilling. So I've invested a lot in courses in the last 6 months to really get good at email marketing. But then a whole lot of mindset issues are starting to come up around pricing and the sort of the market value of the work that I will be doing as an email marketer is a lot higher than the work I've been doing beforehand. So then I want to charge based on the value that my customers get, not just on the time that it takes me to do it. But in the past, I've always worked out my pricing based on the hourly rate that I want and need to charge, multiplied by the amount of time it takes. Now, I've often been a terrible underestimator of time. So there have been projects where I thought, this can't be too hard. That'll only take 10 hours. And it took more than 20 hours. So if I charge a fixed price for that, then that's on me. And I would end up not charging very much per hour for that kind of work.
Here's the thing. In your line of work, as in a lot of the members in our community, you are exchanging your time for money. Now you have children, and so you only have so many set hours, and sometimes there's school holidays or daycare or someone's sick, etc., and that's going to mess with your hours. And I think that my goal for you and anyone in your situation would be to find a way to move away from an hourly rate kind of thinking to packaging and pricing your offers in a way that you are hedging your bets a little bit on how long it'll take, but that also you can charge a whole lot more because of the value you build into what you're presenting. So there's probably things that you already do inside of your process, whether it's the diagnostic stage or the delivery stage, that you could be positioning as additional value, right? Because your process is unique to you, and the way that you get results is likely a little bit unique to you, even though some of the things you do might be the same with other copywriters. But when you go from saying, my rate is $120 an hour, to saying you can buy my XYZ funky name package for twice that. Included is this, this, and this. As a bonus, I include this. Right. And so you want to think about packaging and pricing. And I'm going to refer you to one of the episodes of Content Sells where we talk about how to craft offers that sell, because people do not buy your product or your service. They buy your offer, and you can bundle things together. Yes. And the transformation. And when you bundle things together, following this formula that I'll give you, it allows you to charge more, and it also differentiates you. So people aren't going to go, well, she charges 120 an hour, but I could get someone for 100 an hour. It sort of eliminates that. And so this is relevant for anyone who's charging by the hour. It really keeps you in that solopreneur, self-employed, not leverageable sort of state. And so you want to, just think about how you're packaging and pricing your offers. As far as getting the value for what you do, the thing is that I'll give you an example. The wonderful Tasha Jennings, she's a fertility expert. She specializes in helping women proactively prepare their bodies for babies through their nutrition. And so she was charging X dollars an hour for her one-on-one consulting. She was overbooked for weeks and weeks and weeks. And she was working till 9:30 at night. That was taking time out of her family and her time with her kids, right? Because she was fulfilling all these things. So we encouraged her to raise her prices, and she hesitated because she really wanted to help these women. She felt like it was a fair price, but she also wasn't backing herself and the value that she was bringing to these women. So she increased her price, and absolutely nothing changed. She was still booked out way in advance. And so she's put it up again. Plus she's figured out a package way to do one-to-many where she can still serve women and more women. And then once people have been through that process, then they can buy her now higher end one-on-one services, because there is no way to scale. There are not enough hours. You cannot create more hours. So unless you're going to bring in other copywriters under you to do some of the things, you're going to outsource some of the work, which is, maybe in your future is a different model, then you want to make sure that you are charging what you're worth. And so part of that is confidence. Part of it is just trying it out and see what happens. But the market will tell you. But again, if you just go by the hourly rate, it's too easy to compare, and people aren't comparing apples with apples. They don't know your expertise.
That's true.
But once you start to package it in a particular way, and you'll be able to do this beautifully because you have the words, then people can't compare. And once you have your niche as well, on top of that, then people can compare even less. So you already are able to give a huge transformation to people, as we said, because doing it on our own is not going to be nearly as good as working with you. So now it's about reminding yourself of the value you bring, and just trying a couple of different packages. And you might miss it on the first or second time. You might underestimate what it takes, but you'll figure that out. You just want to move away from hourly rate kind of work. I think it won't serve you a long term.
I do keep diligent time records, so I know what each project takes me. So I can do it one time, have a pretty good guess the first time, and then look at the time it actually took and raise the price accordingly to the time it took the next time. But then as I get faster, leave the price the same,
right?
Because otherwise you're punishing yourself for efficiency.
Got it. Yeah. Great. Well, yes, because your experience means that you can do things. It's like the person who's a platform speaker, they might have taken 10 hours to prepare that or 20 hours or 50 hours to prepare that presentation the first time they got on the stage, and they're going to give it that same talk 20 other times, but now they're going to leverage the hours they already put in. They're not going to charge less because they now know the presentation, right? So it's just capitalizing on that. Alrighty. I know you've come here with some great advice for those watching. So I would love for you to go ahead and share that.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I often say when I'm reading people's drafts, perhaps a business owner has had a crack at writing a web page or an email sequence themselves and they're a bit stuck. One thing that I often come across is people try to make things too complicated, and we want to make our writing easy. So particularly when their customers are going to be reading online, so that's websites and mobiles, we have to consider how they're consuming that information. And on a tiny little mobile screen, maybe while they're walking the dog, they're reading an email or something like that, we want to make the language pretty simple and quick and easy to consume. So shorter sentences, punchy verbs, and just generally keeping writing to an easy to read level. That's not to say it's dumbing it down, because you can talk about very complicated topics at a grade 8 reading level, for example. And that's not to say that your customers are not educated, but I think the method that we use to consume content these days means that simple is often better. And generally, if you have to read a sentence twice, it's a bad sentence.
That's great. And you said that grade 8 reading level. I've heard that before, and you think, oh my gosh, I don't want my clients to think that I think they're stupid. But look at the things that you read, the things that you consume, the things that you don't stumble over the words. It's not people trying to show their brilliance. And sometimes what can happen is you're so smart, you're using the lingo of your industry, but what you might be doing is isolating the reader because it isn't following this first rule that Zoe's giving us, which is about making your content easy to read. All right, what else?
So when you're trying to do marketing for your business, you don't have to do all of the things. So I think we're in a period of FOMO in our lives, and we see other people in competing businesses trying to be on multiple social media platforms and having a YouTube channel and having a website and a sales page and an email sequence and a TikTok stream and they're just doing everything. And I think particularly when you're starting out and when you're a sole trader, even if you're well established, pick a couple of things and do them really well. So I would say the bare minimum would be your website, and it doesn't have to be hundreds of pages, but it needs to be clear about what you do and who you serve, your email marketing list, and one social media platform. Wherever.
Great. So website, say that again, website, one social media platform, and your email list.
Yes.
I concur.
That's where you would start. Now, I personally have Facebook and Instagram. I started off with Facebook. I didn't give it a really good shot. And now I'm working towards Instagram and cross-posting back to Facebook. Now, I know I should be creating separate content for Facebook, but at the moment, it's, I've only got so many hours in the week. So I'm working 3 days a week around small kids. So at the moment, my customers are on Instagram, particularly moving into e-commerce. My customers are
yes. Absolutely. And one of the reasons that I believe that Zoe has identified specifically website and email is because you own these, right? These are your property. You have total control over your website and what it says and how people interact, and the same with your email list. And so often, Zoe, I feel like I'm banging on the drum of build your email list, build your email list, build your email list. Because again, this allows you, and you all know this with your e-commerce people will come to your site, but people will often buy because you've nurtured them, you've communicated them, the recency and the frequency of your communications really make a difference to someone buying. And so even just last week, I was sending messages to quite a few of our HerBusiness Network members who, no email list. I was like, when COVID went down, just a simple example, it was the restaurants who had my email address that got my business.
Yeah,
right? Not the restaurants who don't bother with that because they get all the walk by traffic, right? And so that's just a small example, but you definitely want to build your email list. Very good. Okay, so we've got
So
making your
now,
content.
I'm guilty
Yeah.
of not having my own email list. I'm writing the sequence as we speak. So
Oh, really?
setting that up really soon. So I'm creating a process around
Mhm.
writing my own email sequences. I've been writing them for other people and haven't written my own, which is very naughty. So I started writing my welcome sequence.
Very good. All right. So we've got make your content easy to read and not doing all the things in your marketing. I know you've got at least one more piece of gold here.
So the other thing I want to say is each piece that you send should have one reader, one goal, and one message. So this is what we call the rule of one in copywriting. So if you're writing emails to your list and here's my new blog and here's an event I'm speaking at and here's a coaching tip, that's too much. People often say, I don't have enough to email my list more than once a month or more than once a week. But if you took all those separate ideas and made them separate emails, you keep in more frequent contact with your readers, but you're doing one thing at a time. So split those up and have your one reader in mind, who is your target customer, one thing you want them to learn, acknowledge, or do, and one call to action, which might be as simple as click to read my blog. It might be follow me on Instagram. It might be hit reply and let me know. It might be fill in this survey to tell me what's your sticking point in your business. So just one thing per email that you want them to do.
That is such a good reminder. A newsletter, right?
Yeah, newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like your monthly roundup newsletters and things like that, that contain the highlights of everything, which is more of a here's what you might have missed kind of update. But then when you send out emails for members to do something, it's one email about join a goals group, one email about have you filled in your profile, one email about are you coming to the round table? And I think that helps to direct people's attention.
Yeah, very good. I love that rule of one, and I need to remember it sometimes too. But no, we are pretty good. We're pretty good. We're pretty good. One of the things that I wanted those watching to know is that Zoe's actually a very recent new member to the Her Business Network, probably just over a month. But I did hear you say that you've already made your first month's membership many times over, which just makes my heart sing. Tell me a little bit about what was going on in your business that you decided that you wanted to be part of the amazing Her Business Network.
Well, I miss seeing people because I work from home and I tried out co-working spaces, but I found people's conversations in the background a little bit distracting when I'm trying to do deep work. I liked the atmosphere of the co-working space, but when I'm trying to do really focused writing, it was a bit distracting. So I work from home and I don't often get to talk to other adults. So during my workday. So unless I'm doing a briefing call or something like that, I can go a whole day without talking to other people. So I wanted another place where I could meet businesswomen who are in similar stages and also more advanced than where I'm at to learn from them and have a network. So I'm also part of Belinda Weaver's Confident Copywriting group. Belinda's, as you know, another member. But for anyone else who's part of her business, if you don't know Belinda, she is a wonderful copywriting coach and business mentor. So I'm part of her group, but that group is all copywriters. So I wanted a place where I could meet other businesswomen and collaborate and maybe eventually find a VA and those sorts of relationships that come out organically.
Great. And so you've already met some women. Like we said, you've already made your month's membership many times over. You're going through upskilling. So there's lots of resources available for you. And you've been narrowing your niche. And last week you attended our one of our workshops, which was about conversations that sell. And so in the few weeks, what would you say the biggest takeaways for you have been already?
Ooh, the biggest one. I think getting clear on my own messaging. So even though I'm a copywriter and I do this for other people, it's really hard to do it for myself. So I've always found writing for my own business really hard. And I think that's where a lot of my clients get stuck, is that they know their business inside out, but they have real trouble writing about it. And I agree that it's hard, because I find it hard to do for myself.
Yeah.
So I think going through the Conversations That Sell workshop is actually really a lot easier for me to help people with their connection statements than it was to write my own. But I've now got a connection statement that I'm happy with, a shorter and a longer version. And that was a good turning point for me.
Great. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. We can be so close to our businesses that we actually get ourselves, we trip over things like, well, what is my messaging and who am I for? And when we have other women business owners who maybe are at different stages or advanced stages, as you said, we have like this reflector. People can reflect back to us what we're saying. And sometimes we go, oh, okay, got it. That's not what I want to say at all. And we can quickly make corrections. Now, you've already started to work with some of the other members in the network, which is great. Tell those of us who are watching, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to instigate a relationship with you, and how can you help them? What sort of services?
Members are welcome to email me directly if they like. So my email address is Zoe, Zoe at.
This is a public, unless you want everyone to email you, don't.
I get tons of emails. It's fine.
Okay, good.
Well, because I think the best way is to get in touch directly. I think that's the nicest thing. So I'm happy for people to email me, because then I can have a conversation with them one-to-one. And I think that's nice. So I'm very happy to have my email address out there. It's all over my website as well. So the last week, I've been doing some connection statements for members who were in the Conversations That Sell workshop. And working through that workshop, a couple of the members were still getting a little bit stuck on how to describe what they do and who they do it for. So we did a live Zoom workshop for about an hour and worked through their connection statements.
Awesome.
So
Terrific.
That was good. And also, if you need website copywriting or email marketing, let me know.
Great. And so it's getheard.com.au. You'll find all the details and links through to email addresses and things like that on Zoe's website. And as she said, her specialty is more and more becoming those emails, which again, for so many of us, and for someone who writes again and speaks all day long, sometimes I'll think about writing emails, and Zoe's done some email writing for us as well. And it's like, oh, there's a blank page and I just cannot even get started. So it's great to have that expertise. Great. What would you like to leave us with, Zoe?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to being a long-time member of HerBusiness and getting to know the hundreds and hundreds of other members.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me. It's wonderful having you here today. That is Zoe Heard from gether.com.au. She's a copywriter. She's specializing in service-based businesses and e-commerce businesses, especially in the writing of emails that convert. Okay, so they're those emails that your clients get where they want to click, they want to go through to the store, they want to go buy your course or join your membership. So you want to go ahead and check her out at gether.com.au. Now, if you're watching, you're not a member of the HerBusiness Network, the doors are currently closed to the network. And we only open up 3 or 4 times a year, but you want to get on the list to get an invitation to join us. All you need to do that is, I didn't have it here, did I? Go to herbusinessnetwork.com.au. I'll just write that up here, businessnetwork.com.au. .com actually, just .com. Just .com will do it. That's it there, herbusinessnetwork.com, and you can be in line to get an invitation as soon as we open the doors to membership. Thanks once again to Zoe for being my guest here today. Thank you for watching. Questions, comments, go ahead and pop those below. I'll see you back here real soon. Have a great week.